Just being a woman on the internet, brown woman on the internet, it makes you realize that we need to have more inclusive spaces, and create more spaces for healing and joy, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do with Chayn. I'm Hera Hussain, I'm the founder of Chayn, which is a global nonprofit that creates resources for survivors of gender-based violence in 14 languages. They're all online and they're created with survivors who experience that to help them heal from the trauma they've experienced. 1 in 3 women around the world will come face to face with violence in their lives. And that number would be much higher if we include all the other marginalized genders. So the problem I'm trying to solve is supporting women and other marginalized genders to identify that trauma and heal from it so that they can live more independent lives, but also to change the conversation around and the narrative that we have in our society around victim blaming and rape culture. So we can really tackle the tentacles of patriarchy from the very beginning, so these problems don't happen. Gender-based violence is very personal for me because I grew up as a woman in Pakistan where, everything about your life is determined by your gender and how people treat you, and you face those everyday instances and friction because of patriarchy. And then I came to the UK to study and realized that things weren't that different there too. And I met so many survivors of domestic and sexual violence just going through life and finding that they didn't get that support that they deserved and the kind of understanding. And also just being a woman on the internet, brown woman on the internet, it makes you realize that we need to have more inclusive spaces. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with Chayn. Chayn started 9 years ago when I found it really hard to help friends close to me get out of abusive marriages, because when we were looking online we couldn't really find the content that would be empowering, would be in different languages, and really went into how to identify trauma and heal from it. So that was the beginning, and now Chayn is like a universe of resources. We've reached 500,000 people across the world, and we support survivors in healing from trauma to do with domestic and sexual violence, and provide them that support on a long term. For one of Chayn's services, Bloom, we record videos around healing from trauma and we send them out, and people have a chance to reflect with us on a chat. And one of those really touching stories that we heard was of someone who was going through a court case, and because the law in that country was such that when you're going through a court case, you cannot access therapy. You can access therapy, but then your therapy notes can be included in court proceedings. So lawyers discourage survivors from doing that. So she had experienced sexual trauma and really wanted therapy, but couldn't access it. But because of Chayn, she was able to access this content and then also chat to us, and said that it made such a big difference for her when she showed up to court every single time and faced her abuser. She just had this confidence knowing that there was a community out there that she could still access and get support from, and that it made a huge difference in how she felt about and she knew that she would be fine throughout the court process, but also afterwards. So it's that kind of support and solidarity that Chayn provides. Gender-based violence is everyone's problem because patriarchy hurts people of all genders, but especially men too, because men grow up with these impossible standards around masculinity to meet. So what we really want everybody to do is to play their part. That means, educating yourself about all the sort of biases so that you can become an agent for change. And if you see someone who's going through some sort of violence or abuse, then provide that support to them, whether it is speaking up with them when they speak up for justice, but also in providing that emotional and consistent support and listening ear, which is what most survivors need. Ashoka says everyone is a change maker, and I would say that everybody can and should be a change maker. So to really fight sexism and patriarchy and rape culture, the change starts with you. We can all make a difference, so go make that difference.